now AI is really implementing into for sales, just specifically for sales, is to be that co-pilot for the sales reps. So now when they have the calls, the sales, because it's been trained on the data, because it's strategically implemented, to now the AI can be an assistant to the sales rep and saying, asking the right follow-up questions.
Welcome to the AI Advantage, where modern leaders decode the future of tech. I'm Solomon Williams, founder of Solonox. So here, it's no noise, no hype every week. Sometimes it's just me, and sometimes it's the brightest minds in tech, breaking down what it really takes to grow smarter with AI and automation. Let's dive in.
Hey everyone, welcome to the AI Advantage. I'm your host, Solomon Williams. So today I kind of wanted to do more of just kind of explain a little bit more on a little bit of my journey and kind of what going into what I've kind of seen with the AI side, and really to implement more and just what, small, medium businesses, and just what I've gathered from my experience previously on the enterprise side. And then even now with, other business leaders and so forth else, now as we're moving forward on this new AI era, essentially of, where are we taking the facts of the matter of, how to automate now our business practices, now how to properly implement AI effectively. So beforehand, most of that's like, I don't think I've even done, other than the intro, just a side of kind of breaking it down of what I did. So, my experience has really been more on the Azure cloud engineering side, more on the Microsoft side. So I started with Scrum Master, kind of starting off understanding Agile. Even before that was M365, or now at the time Office 365 admin work. Kind of went into Scrum Master because I wanted to understand that the shift between waterfall to Agile. And just over that time, I wanted to understand. So once I understood more on the Agile framework, being a Scrum Master, understanding, I really wanted to dive a little bit more deeper into the tech side, because I knew that was going to always change. And within that side, I wanted to understand more on the tech stack, implementing it. Once I understood more on the human aspect, now, I wanted to understand the tech. So fast forward, got into cloud engineering, built that out, did architecture for the Azure side. Then, as time went on, more on DevOps implementation. So now infrastructure as code, Terraform, building it. And then now, more to on the enterprise side is implementing AI frameworks into it. So cognitive services, Copilot Studio within the Microsoft side for these larger enterprises. So, as I kind of wanted to kind of shift through, I see more as we're going deeper into the AI field is just on, and what even leaders asking, even from other previous episodes, and just for clients, even, what we have and work on when we build out these framework, these high level designs, and how to input in, we kind of call it the low level design on doing the implementation of these AI services into either a greenfield environment we're building from scratch, or a brownfield where we're implementing these AI components already inside. And now I wanted to focus more on the small to medium businesses, because you get so caught up. And I'm seeing a lot of, even with folks, is they're just saying, we need to be ahead, so we need to implement AI. Not considering of whether or not are we going to build our own AI of all the tokens that's going to get involved. Is this going to be costly? So, because, since it's continuously building off of internal data from internal warehouses, is that going to take the time? Is it we need to train our teams? So these are more strategy mindsets that, that we have to kind of look deeper into, that I think now the market and what other folks are really asking is, I know what to do for AI, and this is something that's not going away, but how do I effectively manage it? How do I implement it into it? So I think that's like really the conversation, more of the conversation we need to be having, because you hear a lot of the hype, you hear a lot of these new AI systems and software that comes out. It's so hard to kind of keep up with. So even from the folks that I've had conversations with, even when this episode airs, we've had a couple of ones that even after this episode airs that we're building out, that the team and I is really building out and editing right now, that even for the C-suite folks that are CIOs and CEOs of more of the medium enterprises, that you'll hear that we've gone forward. We want to implement AI, but where do we go forward on this? What are we using? A third party? Are we implementing our own? What is the core? What are the initiatives behind it? And I think that's where we need to really take a strategical mindset of it. And even beforehand, even I made some mistakes myself, even with building it out, is you get so caught up on what it can do and the implementation, but where does it fit into the whole stratosphere of the enterprise achievement for the initiatives that the company is trying to hit, or for your team is trying to hit for the next year? How is AI going to implement it rather than just automating? Because I think we already kind of established this already, is just on automating, taking over the manual work. What are we've already kind of implemented the low hanging fruit from the side, but now how do we think of it from a larger scale perspective on these initiatives? So I want to keep on reinforcing that. I've seen some, because there's so much going on with AI. You hear different perspectives of it, but I'm hearing it a little bit more, and I want to always reinforce that on this side. And even still, I think that even as kind of AI is growing forward, you hear this side of it. And, I think many people still want this human connection. And I've always strived to input to where there's a balance between the AI where it doesn't take, we always have to think of profit, on a company standpoint, and even as an entrepreneur on, let's make money, let's utilize this to increase our profits and so forth else. That's the right side of it. And the left side is, this is going to take away all our jobs, right? So I firmly believe that we should always strive for a balance between this of the AI, implementing these systems, these LLMs, these chatbots, the AI side of it is to increase and to benefit your employees. Most of all, I always strive for that because it should be able to take away, obviously, the mundane, the day-to-day work, and it should reinforce and build, not only take away, create time for the employees. And then, sometimes what the managers and other folks that I hear always say is, well, my employees is just gonna, is gonna get off of an hour work up early and then play some golf, but now, that's the that's the worry of it on the employer side. But I think that, it really strives to make it to where this implements it to where you better help the employee to not only help them to do a better job, for them to think creatively on how they can make their job easier or make their job more effective, but also on the business as well. How can we think on that brainstorming and, really adding that human creativity to enhance it rather than just automating and just the day-to-day, the ticket systems or anything else, whether it's on like Jira or whether it's from IT Now, ServiceNow on the side. How can we really think strategically of it to make my job better? So in some cases of it, to where previously where I had to do, some architectures on the side of implementing cognitive services and so forth else, and inputting the automation fronts, any run books, is how can I help the dev team or the team of engineers to be able to think more creatively to, really enhance already a system, or to enhance what we call their platform of what their modules are, whether it's for Terraform or ARM or Bicep templates, and so forth else. How can we be able to refine the process, whether we need to refine the pipelines to make it more effective, adding trigger, it gives more of that time to be able to really think strategically and brainstorm to be able to make it as a whole more effective, right? So, I want to I think that's the goal of it, of implementing the AI portion of it. As we kind of move through, you're kind of see even on Copilot's front, even now, there's these moments of having to add in on Copilot for sales, so forth, where now we're getting to a point to where, similar to, clients like Cluely and so forth, that's to now AI is really implementing into for sales, just specifically for sales, is to be that Copilot for the sales reps. To now only have the calls, the sales, because it's been trained on the data, because it's strategically implemented, to now the AI can be an assistant to the sales rep and saying, asking the right follow-up questions, of knowing exactly what to say. So it helps build on onboarding. It helps on thinking through on, again, helping the individual, helping the human be able to do their job better. And I think that's what we're kind of seeing on this side as we're kind of scaling through on this point. So now with small and medium businesses, whether it's professional services or more on consultancy and so forth, that's where, how do we implement that in? How do we really look from a strategical value of, what are the ideal clients, inputting the right data, and then we test the data once you implement these AI systems in. These are the things I think leaders are more going forward that to need to constantly think of is what has been working, what is the demographic that's working well, what is the right data that I need to put into the AI to be able to train the system, and constantly refine that data, right? So that's, I really want to strive for that just throughout as this AI era is continuously evolving. I want to definitely be that advocate for that, of empowering the employees, empowering more on strategy behind this, not just implementing the AI system just for the sake of it, and it, taking care of low-hanging fruit on the side, and you're still paying, whether it's tokens or how much is, you want to maximize your investment on the side. So that's what I'm wanting to continuously focus in on the side, and implement that and keep that in mind for small to medium businesses, and even for as continuing on for other conversations that I'll have with other for other leaders, whether it's all the way from solopreneur that's kind of going off, or from all the way up to what you'll see on from the CTO side, and how to think of it, when they come on board. What are the initiatives that they need to think of if, now that organization's wanting to implement AI further or really invest further? As the CTO, how do I guide that? Where is it? Where do I actually find the right implementation? What are the initiatives? And what is the bottom line to when we implement these AI systems, whether we're going to create it ourselves internally in-house through any CSP providers, or is it going to shift it over to a third party? And I think that's what needs to keep in mind from this side as we continue to scale and utilizing that, keep that strategy in mind. So I'm really excited to kind of see forward, like what, as this progresses through, what to really think of and how do we implement this, continuously thinking it from a strategy mindset and building a framework around the system. Because this is just going to be a tool like anything else. It's going to be more important as a tool, but it's keeping in mind of how is it enhancing the human side of it, whether that's the experience. And even if what I kind of tell folks, I even argue that the AI is, we're not at it's good for marketing. You hear a lot of marketing on the AI side of, what it can do. And, it's at, sometimes, I think with ChatGPT 5 is at a PhD level, and it's good for research and so forth. But we have to kind of take in mind that a lot of the AI on the side is, what we have to sometimes even train up on internally for prompt engineering and keeping internal teams' mind is the AI is going to constantly be that yes man. It's going to always be an enabler, saying, yes, you can do this. Yes, you could do that. And of course, we can do the context frame around it, like give the AI context of what they can think as, what are the actual outputs that you need to have? What is the goals? Give it this full context you have. But always to keep in mind that it's good as a brainstorm partner, but it sometimes won't be able to give you that real know you're wrong or anything else. So I think that's where, when you train up on teams that are utilizing Copilot or for Gemini or any of the other Claude, Anthropic, or for what's another one, ChatGPT. There was another one that came out. I can't think of the name of it. But those are the ones that, we have to keep in mind on the prompt engineering without training the teams, is to keep in mind of that and utilize that the AI can make it on top of the hallucinations on the side. And then we have, we can obviously go deeper down into, even on the flip side, I think one of my calls I had with Medina Ali, she was the CEO of Safe PC Solutions. Shout out to her. I was able to. She invited me out to the Mercedes-Benz event there at the Mercedes-Benz here in Atlanta. and, talking more on cybersecurity, what that's going to get involved with in terms of keeping that in mind and how AI is going to play a role. And so I think now more than ever, it goes back to this framework of adding in proper, kind of like best practices to keep in mind. How do you implement first even starting off with is making sure your data secured, compliance, you have policies driven into it. Then when you have the compliance, you have the security, you have the policies, the governance essentially around your data and how this is going to form. Then we look into, what are the tools out there that we can utilize to, what is our outcome? What is our goal to implement AI? What is the goal of that? So we look at initiatives on the side. And again, it's building off of the strategy. And then what does success look like? What's that definition of success? What are the key KPIs that we need to keep in regards? And this is regardless of internal or third party. It's to keep that in sense. So as we kind of forward, we're kind of getting to see that AI isn't the end all be all. It's going to be even more so, even greater of importance of putting in that foundation and building it block by block effectively to that end. So I'm real excited on that side and really looking forward and really wanting to be that advocate for strategy and balance of human intervention, enhancement of the employees and so forth. As I truly believe that there's definitely a middle ground balance between it, not just taking over. Even for now, even with the censure, I've even seen that the censure is letting go of 11,000 employees on the side. In a recent article on that, of course, we already know about Microsoft eliminating 7, but even, now these larger enterprises are getting more. And I know there's going to be some as time goes on with new technology, there's going to be some, but I really want to strive for more in that enhancement and really having it to keep in mind and we need to be weary fully going all the way into AI doing it all because it's nowhere near this level. So, thanks for staying tuned. I kind of wanted to kind of break down a little bit of, what I've done, what I see in just the strategy, I think just in mind to kind of keep in mind. So, really the focal points just as well is to keep in mind for anyone, whether you're starting over from solopreneur, entrepreneur, or even from employee side, but more specifically for the businesses is one, do we have a foundation in place? What are we training the data on? Is it accurate data? Is our data secured? Do we have governance around it? So building those guardrails in line. That's the first step. I always believe on that side of it. From there on, the second step, I believe is looking more into what is my actual goal of what I want to implement AI for? What are real outcomes that I want to implement into AI, whether that's scale, whether that's building more on scale, client acquisition, whether that's refinement of operations, whether that's cost effectiveness from this side. What are these key things I need to keep refining of my sales workflow? So those are the goals and so forth. And then from there, we build upon that. Do we build a new system of it? Do we implement it in? What does that look like? And then really, keeping in mind and structuring it, I think of like an agile structure of implementing this data, and you want to do this right way and then continuously refine it. And I think that's in mind to kind of keep these in mind on a strategy approach. I think that's the best way for long-term growth, of long-term effectiveness of AI systems, and just as we move forward in this new era. So thanks guys for tuning in. I'm really excited for the upcoming guest that we have for the show. Even it's amazing. This is more of, I wasn't expecting this much of, feedback and so forth. That was even for the type of guests that we're having in, these special guests, all the way from, from CEOs, from founders, from, now we're getting into a little bit more on the medium enterprise CEO. So I'm really excited to go forward here. So we'll stay tuned and catch you guys on the next episode of the AI Advantage. Take care, everyone. And don't forget to like and subscribe, comment through on the videos on the side. Your feedback is really helpful on this side as we continuously improve the show and so forth. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the AI Advantage. If this episode sparked an idea, share it with your network. Subscribe for more no-fluff conversations on how smart tech drives real outcomes. And if you're ready to future-proof your business, let's connect at Solonox.net.